So hello everyone, welcome to this another video of this channel. I'm Abhishek Verma and today you are watching another video of our Spring Data JPA series where we are going to perform the CRUD operations with the help of Spring Data JPA. In the previous video, we did it with the help of Spring ORM and hence in today's one, we will be doing it with Spring Data JPA. And the most interesting part is you will find that there is no repository implementation class. That will be completely removed. But then from where we will be getting the implementation logic. So that also I will show you in today's video. You won't find that in any other video. So without wasting any more time, let's directly get started. So now we are in our IDE and as you can see, I have already copy pasted and created demo number 3 from the previous demo. So first of all, let's do a quick recap. Those who don't want to see the recap, they can directly skip to the next part. I will put it in the timestamp. So we will just go here and here, as you can see, first of all, we have a demo class which contains the main method and it's the main Spring class annotated with the Spring Boot annotation. From here, we are having two service layers. One is the owner service class, other one is the pet service. Then we are having their implementations also with these particular methods. We have already discussed about them in the previous videos as well. Then from the service layer, we are moving towards the repository layer. And currently here for the repository, we are having the interface as well as the implementation. So in the previous demo, we created this implementation with the help of Spring ORM. So hence we need these implementation classes as well. Yeah. Then beside these, we are having the custom exceptions and we are having this input util class, which is going to have the common methods to accept the input from the user for the creating the owner, creating the pet or the simple IDs. Then beside this, here if we go, we are having these entity classes. So we are having the owner entity class, then we are having a pet entity class. Both of them are having one-to-one relationship and that's a bidirectional relationship. Then under the pet, we are having domestic pet and the wild pet. And here we are making usage of the inheritance. As I told in the previous video, the main sole purpose of doing this kind of inheritance is so that I can give you an idea that how in your project if inheritance will come, then how you will tackle it. Otherwise, it was not a big deal here. Beside this, for the primary key, here instead of repeating the logic for primary key generation in both the classes, I have made it a separate in this base class. For this base class, we are not going to have any separate table in the database. So in the database, you will see only tables for owner, pet, domestic pet, wild pet. Not for this base, it is just a mapped superclass. Then beside this, we are having the enums for gender. So gender will be used by the owner as well as pet, and pet type enum will be used by the pet only. Then beside this, we are having the equivalent DTO classes also. Here as you can see, again in the DTO classes, we are having this inheritance relationship available here. We have already discussed in the previous video that as a good practice in the bigger projects, we should not be returning the entity completely to the user. Neither we should accept entity from the user. Instead, we should work with the DTOs because DTO is data transfer object here. Okay, that's fine. Then in all these, in order to make the thing simple, we are making usage of the Lombok. Within the Lombok, we have also added the builder annotation, because of which you can see these builder classes. Now with the help of diagram, it may look bigger, but the point is it is going to make our code much more simpler. Now after this, so this was the main part guys, and here as you can see, we were basically implementing it, the repository layer, with the help of Spring ORM. Now let's start with this particular one. Again, let me just repeat some of the things because they will be mandatory here also for this particular video. So if you wish, I hope you must have skipped the recap part here. So now here if we come, so here first of all, we are having this basic annotation of Spring Boot starter. You will automatically get whenever you create a new Spring Boot project. Then here we just need a dependency of Spring Starter Data JPA. So this dependency will be used even if you want to implement Spring Data JPA or even if you want to implement Spring ORM. So for both of them, this dependency will be more than enough. Then next one is the database dependency. Now since here we are interacting with the MySQL database, hence we are using the MySQL dependency. In case you are interacting with the H2 database or the PostgreSQL database, then that one will be used. In our code, we are making usage of Lombok, so that dependency is available, and we are also making usage of map-struct, so that dependency is also available here. The only thing is that map-struct is not going to come from the Spring Boot, so this you need to get externally from the Maven repository. So hence this is the version which I am using. Whenever you are going to download, just check whether you are using the latest version or not. Always try to go with the latest version. Besides this also, whenever in your code you are making usage of Lombok plus map-struct, always don't forget to add these kind of annotation processor paths. So they will be required in order so that it completely work the things. Okay, and here there is no other option, like you can't skip this particular part. So this needs to be as it is, otherwise you will face some issues in the Lombok and the map-struct part. So this was the main thing. Again, now moving towards the properties file. So this properties file also, if you see, this is exactly the same which we discussed in the previous one for the Spring ORM. This is the database URL, and here it is my localhost, port number is 3306, schema name is Pakistan. Schema always you need to make explicitly before executing your code. Then we are having the username password of our database. Here, instead of writing hard coding the username password here, I have kept it in the environment variables, and I have already set also how to set it again and again. It won't be possible to show, so you can watch in the previous video. Here we are saying auto DDL update, so that in case in our database, if tables don't exist, it will be created. If they exist, they will be updated. You can change it again as per your requirement. Now we want to see the SQL statement also in the console, hence I'm saying SQL true. By default it is false, and minimum these will be required whether you are using Spring ORM or Spring Data JPA. Now let's come on with the next part. So basically here what we are trying to do is that we are already having the Spring ORM, and now we want to implement the Spring Data JPA. In case you have not watched the previous video and you say that, okay, what if I want to directly implement Spring Data JPA? Then also nothing much to worry. The only thing is that earlier, if you remember, we were having the repository IMPL. So I'll simply remove this repository IMPL as it is. We don't need the repository implementation classes. Then next thing is, here we will go to the repository, and you will find we are having two repositories, owner repository interface and the pet repository interface. So what I will be doing here is that I will be removing all these methods from this. So let me just make it as an empty interface. So now you see this is just an empty interface. Let me just say Control Shift O, and yeah, this is how it is going to look like. Now here what I will be doing is, now in order to implement Spring Data JPA, I just need to say extends, and then I will be saying here JPA, and here we will be getting the option of JPA repository. So this is the one. This option you will get only when you will be adding the Spring JPA repository. I mean this particular, where it went, so here it is. Yeah, so whenever you are going to add this particular dependency, Spring Boot Starter Data JPA, then only you will get these options, otherwise you won't get. Yeah, so this means that in the previous demo also, if we wish, we could have made usage of the JPA repository. But why I would have taken you from the ORM part? Because I just wanted to show you that how JPA thing is going to make your job simple, how data JPA is simple. Otherwise you will feel that, okay, there is nothing much interesting in this particular one. Yeah, so that's the main thing here. Now here, so here we need to pass two things. So this first T stands for your entity class. So we know that this owner repository is going to work with the owner entity. So here what we will do is we will just say owner, because that's the name of my entity. Second one is the primary key, the data type of the primary key. So for this, if we wish, we can go here in the owner. Now for this owner, you see there is no specific primary key for this. So how is it getting the primary key? From this base. So here the data type is int. So here it is int, but here we need to write integer only. So that is the thing. Okay, so here we need to mention the wrapper class, and now I just need to say Control Shift O, and that is it. So this will do my job. Believe me, now we have implemented the repository. We don't need any repository IMPL here. Same things we are going to do for this pet repository also. First of all, let me just remove it. So this I have done. Now let me say here extends, and again same thing JPA, and here I will be saying JPA repository, something like this. This time the entity class name is pet. Again for this pet, if I go here, so something like this. So pet is getting the entity or the main primary key from this base class. So in my case, it was simple that for both of them, it is integer only. In your case, if it is UUID or something else, then also no need to worry. So here we will say this integer. Okay, let me just do it like this. And yeah, here let me say integer. Yeah. So this is how it is going to look like, guys. So this is the one, and let me again say Control Shift O, and this did my job. Believe me, the thing is done. That's it. Nothing much to be left. Here we can see there is just one small issue in the service MPL. Let's go there and see what is the issue. So if we go here is, so you see, this save method is still working fine. I mean, where is this save method? If you see, this owner repository is just an interface. So how you are getting this save method? You are getting that particular save method from this JPA repository. So this JPA repository, if we click here, this is nothing but an interface again. So here by default, we are having the common CRUD operations. So that is the main benefit of Spring Data JPA over Spring ORM. So whatever there was in Spring ORM, these things are still here. But the only point is here we are getting all the basic CRUD operations. Okay, so save method is already there. I mean, we are not able to see it here, but then it must be somewhere in the parent interface. So here or somewhere here, I'll just show you in a very different way, not in this way. Yeah. Then, so save method we have got here. Then the next one is, you see, find by ID. So again, I didn't create this method find by ID, but it is automatically available from this JPA repository. So again, so we were able to create, we were able to read also. Next thing, what we do? Next thing is, first of all, let's come to the delete owner. So for delete owner, the method is delete by ID. And this method is automatically again available from this JPA repository. Because you try to see, whenever you say I want to create something or save something, then the whole entity as it is you will be creating. It's not a case that you are going to save half of the entity and not rest half of the entity. I mean, in that case also you will keep some of the values as null. That is possible. When you say find and you say that I want to find the whole entity itself, then also it's a very common thing. So again, that method was automatically provided. When you say delete, so delete is also such a common thing. So we just need to provide the owner ID and we can delete the thing. So that also we got automatically. Then the next thing was update. Now this update method is not available here. I mean, reason is very simple. Just try to think. When I say delete, I want to delete whole the thing. It is not possible. I want to just delete half of the things. When I want to read, I may want to read the whole thing. When I want to save, I want to save the whole thing. But when you say you want to update, then it is a point that how much data you want to update. Because if you go to this particular owner also here, you see there are so many variables. Maybe it's a point I just want to update a state, or maybe I just want to update an email ID. So how many methods it will create automatically? That's not a choice. Okay. So that's why here you see that we are not getting this update method. So then what is the option? So let's see what we are doing here. In this one, first of all, we are trying to find the owner with the help of ID. Then we are getting optional of owner here. Okay. So that's why I say that it is mandatory for you to understand this optional class. I have already created a specific video on this optional class, because your JPA methods are going to return you this optional as an output. They are not going to return you owner. They will return you the optional. Okay. So here we are saying that if this is present, okay. So if this is present, then means it is going to be true. And then this condition will become false. So it will control will come here. In case it is not present, then this whole condition will become true and we will throw the exception. So other option is that in case if it is present, then what needs to be done? So here, first of all, this we can't do. So what we will do is here we will just simply say owner dot get, and here we will say owner dot get pet, just something like this. And after this we will be saying set. Okay. Before this also there is one small thing, that here we will say owner dot get something like this, and this one we need to first of all save somewhere. So let's save it. So here we will say owner, and here we will say owner. Okay. So this variable we have created within this, which says this is owner, and here let me name it as owner entity, just in order to make it a different variable. Okay. So this I'm saying. Now what I will do, I will say here owner entity something like this, and I will say something as get pet. So this is the one. So this will return me the pet for this owner, and then I will say set the name. So this way I'm going to save the name. So in the owner I have saved it, and now the next thing what I will be doing is I will just say here save, and I will just pass on this owner entity object as it is. So something like this we can do. So a simple thing here, I was getting the optional. From optional I say the get here. Here I'm pretty sure that there will be some data in this. So directly you can't say get, because otherwise there you need to check whether it is null or not null. Now you are pretty sure if it is coming in the else condition, then this get will give you some kind of output, not null. Then we are saying from this fetch the pet, set the name and save it back, and simple. That's it. So nothing much needs to be done, and see, we were able to implement Spring Data JPA. That's it. I mean, now if you wish, what we can do is we can execute. So I have already ran the command once, and basically if I frankly tell you, it's the same thing which I ran the last time for demo number 2. So same database, same tables we are making of use here. So we can go and let me just quickly show you. So this is my Pakistan, and here if I take you to this ER diagram, so this is how it is going to look like. So here we are having the owner table, we are having the pet table. Under pet we are having these two tables here as such. Yeah, and let me just say here no, and let's come back to this particular one here, and first of all let's say this 2. Okay, so now let's quickly say 20. So for this 20, you see I'm able to see the output. So I can see the owner DTO. Within the owner DTO here, if I scroll, I'm getting the pet DTO. Now initial 36 pets I told you. So total we are having 72. Out of them initial 36 are domestic and rest 36 are wild. Then within the domestic it says the main pet DTO data is something like this and birth date is this. Yeah. So this is how it is saying. Why is it saying null for this? Because deliberately within the pet we are not saving the owner here. I mean, we are not returning the owner here, otherwise it will end up in a loop again. I mean, we have discussed all these things in the previous one. Okay, now let's update the pet name for this. So just now we fetched the data for 20. So let me just say here 20 like this, and last time if you remember the name of the pet was something Rocky. Okay, so now let's make it as Ronnie. From Rocky we are updating it to Ronnie. So this we have done. Now let's again say Y. This time let me press 6 here. Okay, from the other side let's try to fetch it. Okay, 20. So name should be Ronnie. So now you see that name has been updated to Ronnie here. Now we are fetching it from the pet side. Let me again say Y here, and if you wish we can fetch all the owners. So maybe I have missed it and I haven't shown you this particular one, but for this owner find all also, so this find all method is automatically available. Again, you don't need to write. The moment you say find all, it's automatically available within this parent JPA repository, and it is going to provide you the list of all the owners. Where is it? How is it going to provide that? I will just show you in some time, but see, things are working fine for us. And let me just say here 5. So yeah, this is how it is going to work for you. See, it is able to provide us all these 72 owners and the complete data it is going to provide us. Again, we can say why. If you wish, we can add the new owner also, but believe me, there won't be anything much interesting. What you can do is you can download it and you can execute it on your own, and you can see whether it is working for you or not. If not, then you can tell me. But something I have interesting to show you is that how the things are going to look like in this JPA repository. So for this, I will just scroll it down. So the main Spring Data JPA part was, that's it. I mean, it's done. Believe me, it's that simple. That's why you see in most of the bigger projects, they are making usage of Spring Data JPA. Now you will say that, okay, Abhishek, it will only provide us the basic methods. What if we want to do something extra? That we will see in rest of the videos. I mean, still there are many videos pending, guys. The main goal for this particular video was the main CRUD operations, and see, we were able to perform all the CRUD operations here. So if you have seen, we were able to perform the create operation, we were able to do the read operation, update, as well as delete operations. So all were working fine. Now the next thing which I wanted to show you was that here, let me again create one more UML diagram. So I will go here and I will say class diagram. So a new one I will be creating, and here let me just say sample. Okay, so I'll say finish. So initially it is empty. Now the next thing I wanted to show you is that if I take this pet service IMPL, okay, for a reference, so I will bring it here, and here this pet service is the parent of it. So it's the interface. So this is how the relationship is going to look like. Now for pet repository, if I'll do, then how it is will look. So see, it is that simple. There is nothing in this. Okay. So even if I say here that, okay, display attribute static, so there is no static variable, there is no static methods, or everything is visible here, but still there is nothing. Okay. Now, what we will do is we will just double click on it, and here we have something like a JPA repository also. So let's try to see if we can view that particular one. So what I will do is I will just right click on this and I will say open type hierarchy. Then you will see that here it will show you a type hierarchy something like this. The parent of pet repository is JPA repository. Now JPA repository was not created by me. It is being provided by Spring Boot, but still I can drag it and see the things here. So now you can see that within this JPA repository, we are getting all these methods. We are getting get by ID, get one, and all these things are coming to us. Okay. Then now the parent for this JPA repository is list CRUD repository. So we can bring it and we can see here. Now you see that here we are having that particular find all method which we were using. So we implemented JPA repository. It automatically got all the methods from list CRUD repository, and their find all method was available to us. Okay. Now upon this also we have one more parent, and that we call as CRUD repository. So let me just bring it on the top, something like this. Okay, still on top, and yeah, still on top. Let me just do it like this. Okay, so it's not looking that much great, but still you can see the things here. So here we are having this save method. So save method was coming from here, guys, if you can see. Okay, we were able to see find by ID, which was returning us something optional of owner. Here you can see it is returning you optional of T. What was T? Our entity class. Owner in case of owner repository, pet in case of pet repository. So when you said find by ID in owner repository, it was returning you owner, optional owner. When you said find by ID in pet repository, it returned you optional of pet. So this way it is going to return you these particular things. Not always find by, you are having other methods also. You see delete by ID is there, exist by ID is there. I mean, sometimes you just want to check whether it's there or not. So no need to always say find by ID. You can even say exist by ID. You can make usage of other methods also. There is even a method to say count. It will just return you the total number of count only, that how many rows are there, 72, 73, or what all things are there. So all these methods are available to us. Then again we have a parent of it. Okay, and that is the repository interface, something like this. So all these things are there. So that's how we are getting all of them here. Yeah. Now the next point is, you may say that, okay, Abhishek, this is fine. Okay, I mean, believe me, I don't think so anyone would have shown you something like this in all the hierarchy way. Okay, but so you can comment me in the chats. Now the next thing is for this JPA repository. Okay, let me just go here in the JPA repository, and now let me just go to this particular one, list CRUD repository, and let me go to this CRUD repository. Okay, so within CRUD repository we were having the save method, save all, find by ID, and all these methods. Now the thing is that if we are not implement, because you see that there is no implementation at all. Even in these, I mean, these are interfaces only. So where is that particular implementation? That comes the question. So in that particular case, what we can do is we will select it, and here we will just somehow say I am not getting this option. Earlier it was coming. I guess for something like this it will come here. So let me just give a try. So here if I say this, yeah. Now if I just scroll it here, something like this, and I say here open implementation. So now let's see who is actually implementing it. So there exists a class something like simple JPA repository. So this class is available here, that is simple JPA repository. Yeah, but the point is we are not implementing it. Someone else is implementing. Okay, who is that someone else? That is Spring Data JPA or the Spring Boot. So Spring Boot is actually implementing it for you. Yeah, and that's why you see on this particular class you are having that add the rate repository. So this time you are not implementing, but Spring Boot is automatically providing that implementation. And how everything is still working because of these wrapper classes. Now you will feel that, okay, what are these wrapper class? There is a separate video on wrapper class on my channel. If you wish, you can watch that particular one also, guys. Okay, so in this particular thing, we will see that all those options are there, like find by ID, and all those methods have been implemented. Internally, it is still making the usage of entity manager, hibernate, and all these things. So behind the scenes, those things are still working. So that's why I always say that in order to learn Spring Data JPA, you still need hibernate for you guys. Okay. Now the point is, you don't need to worry about this much, because in our case, since it is Spring Data JPA, we just need to think till this much point, and that's enough for us. So we were able to implement all the CRUD operations, CRUD methods, and in the next video we will see something more interesting, guys, beside these CRUD methods. Okay, so if you found it helpful, do give a like, do share it with your friends, comment something, and see you in the next video. Bye everyone.